Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Williams. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Williams, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today, but you hear me say that every single time. But you know what? We do.
It's always a great show.
Lupita. How are you doing today, my dear?
I'm doing good. And you?
I am doing fine. I'm getting ready to head out of town. But you know what? We say we have to come and do what we got to do.
The show must go on.
The show must go on. So we are here getting this stuff done. We're going to have a great show today, Lupita. We're going to be talking about all those candidates. And actually, I say we're going to be talking about all those candidates. The ones that we're going to be talking about are the ones that I want to talk about, unless, you know, the people who really run the show, which are our listeners, unless they decide to take the show somewhere else. We want to talk about these guys that are running. Guys meaning both female and male. You know, I mean, I think, hey, wait, Lupita, do you guys consider guys sort of
gender neutral?
Gender neutral?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like you guys. It's kind of like y'all in a way.
Okay, good. So we are going to be gender neutral in guys because you know what? My topic for the day is who is the best Democratic candidate for progressive America? Who is the best one? Who do you like, Lupita? Or are you willing to say that on air? Who do you like?
I mean, it's not that. I think I just haven't really ruled out exactly who I'm, specifically, looking into, but just weighing my options, listening to what they have to say first.
So, well, that's good. If everybody used to do that, we'd always elect the right candidate. But somehow people don't do that. We are doing all this evaluation, and we're going to see a whole lot of them on Thursday. So I mean, they're going to be out there. Actually, it's not Thursday. I think it's Saturday that they're coming out. On Saturday, Marcus is going to interview. I think it's about 10 of them or something like that are going to come out there. But anyhow, the title of the show today is Who is the best Democratic candidate for progressives and America? Because what's good for progressives is also good for America. I think progressives must weigh all options in the next coming months before the primary and decide who will best represent our values. Just like Lupita said, we have to listen to all of what they have to say right now, then start making up our minds. I have some ideas and I want to hear your ideas. And let me tell you why I want to hear your ideas. You have a whole lot of us, Lupita, we come on the radio or we blog or we do all those things, right? But no matter what you say, right, you're coming from your point of view. And you can be throwing a whole lot of stuff out there and you could not be hitting the mark at all. So the only way you don't do that is you really find out what it is that, what the hell are folks thinking? Because if we had really known what folks were thinking, even though Hillary Clinton won by 3 million votes, she lost in the Electoral College because of in select areas. Suppose Hillary Clinton's people had believed what Michael Moore was telling her he was seeing on the ground. They were all the way up there preaching to everybody else what is happening and how things are supposed to be. And the one thing they were never really listening to was the grassroots. We should never, ever make that mistake. We ought to always listen to you guys that are out there. So, folks, don't forget, this is a call-in show. 713-526-5738. Again, 713-526-5738. I want you guys to light it up because I want you guys to tell me about candidates, but I want to ask one favor of you all. The idea is not to mash up or to malign candidates. These guys all have different priorities, different values. Some are corporatists. Some believe corporatism is okay. Some are socialists. Some believe that's okay. Some are democratic socialists. They believe that is okay. The thing about it is you fight with ideas and you calculate. You know, I'm an engineer by training. I like to pull a whole lot of stuff in. And then when you pull these things in, you make that calculation as far as maximizing things. You know, supposedly when people went to business school, they did that maximization too. That is a point where there's a point in business. There's this sweet spot that they talk about supply and demand and where you reach the maximal price and all of that. Businesses have that all as well. But all of that is sort of many times manufactured. Science is always perfect. That is generally manufactured. Anyhow, those are the progressives. Is it Blasio? De Blasio? Is it Harris? Is it Sanders? Is it Warren? Is it Yang? Is it... and I missed his name again. Is it Castro? We don't know. Those are the candidates that, in my humble opinion, are trying to campaign most progressively. 3 of them I consider full-throated progressives. Actually, it's 4. Others are simply flanking based on how they coach their policies. So what are progressives to do? I have some thought on that, but mostly I want to hear yours. So today, folks, let me move this stuff so I can see the light. Today, folks, I want to hear from you guys. I want you to light up the phones for me. So what progressives to do? What are your thoughts? What do you want? Who do you want? Who do you think is in the head of the horse race right now? Anyway, but before I get to the program, I want to remind all our listeners that KPFT is a bastion of intelligent voices and programs. As a political activist myself, my favorites are Think Wing Radio with
Mike Honig on Mondays at 3 p.m.
And of course, we have Open Journal
with Dwayne Bradley and crew on Mondays at 6 p.m.
And the program just before me, the program to the heart, Jazz Latino Afro-Cuban Latin Jazz, as it is best hosted by
Juan Flores and me, Lupita.
And remember, Lupita is the one who brought some new stars to the show. And then, of course, we have Jenner Asian Radio, and that is a weekly radio program. Hindi Rai, where ancient sounds meet future beasts, and that is
Tuesdays from 4 to 6 p.m., so that's right after this show.
And it's a great show, folks. It takes me home jamming. Check out our full schedule at kpft.org, where you can find programming from music to politics to medicine to the eclectic. KPFT is a listener-supported public community radio station, so please remember that if you like what you hear, visit kpft.org and ensure we remain a strong, viable community radio station that provides news, programming, and information not influenced by whom again?
The corporatocracy.
All right. We don't want information influenced by the corporatocracy. You know why? Because their interests many times diametrically opposed to yours. So, I mean, folks, you have to have a station you have state is for. The fourth estate being the media, the free press, all that good stuff. We don't want the bought press anymore. You remember there was a time when the press, they weren't worried about money. They weren't even though there's ABC, CBS, NBC, they were separated from the commercial parts that had to make money, but no more. Full capitalism is in full vogue, and they have no place for you, folks. So I don't have a blog of the week. It's a blog of the head today. So we're not going to play that good old music today because we're going to go over the candidates one at a time. So, folks, you can actually start calling in 713-526-5738. Again, 713-526-5738. All lines are wide open. Please don't wait till the end of the show because at the end of the show, I'm going a flight. But anyhow, starting with the person, of course, I have to start with is Bernie Sanders. Taking off my host hat for now, I'm going to say I was a Bernie Sanders delegate back in 2016, and I was out there in Philly holding down the fort for Bernie. Bernie, I think, is the progressive of progressives. Bernie is the guy who changed the conversation. Bernie is the guy who said,
people matter. Bernie is the guy who said we are no longer going to be slaves to the corporation. Everybody ran and believed that they could only run as wards of the plutocracy. So whether you're a Democrat or Republican, yes, Democrats enjoyed helping, but they always felt, phone ringing, but they always felt that they were wards of the plutocracy. Always felt that they were wards of the plutocracy. Folks, let me tell you something very important. Had it not been for Bernie, and I know there are a lot of Democrats really they much like to put the burden on Bernie. They much like to talk about Bernie being the one responsible for Hillary Clinton's defeat and many other things. He doesn't consider himself a Democrat. He's not this, he's not that. I mean, the truth of the matter is I don't care about all of that anymore. We should not care about that at all anymore. What we should care about is a new conversation. And the country is move that conversation forward, whether we're going to be successful or not. Many would like to coach the argument. Many would like to coach the discourse. Many would like to coach the conversation by framing us as having a debate between capitalism and socialism. I'm saying we are not framing the debate. Progressives must not frame the debate between capitalism and socialism. We must frame the debate between what is best for America, what Americans want, and nothing more. And in that light, once we do that, and then I'm going to tell you my gun story a little bit later after I answer a couple of these calls. But once we do that, once we stop playing the games of the plutocracy, once we stop playing the games of those people who want to come in chains, then we can move forward, because then we realize that all of us, left, right, or whatever you want to call yourself, are basically looking for the same thing. So I'm going to start taking calls right away. 713-526-5738. Don't wait till the end, because as soon as the end comes, I'm out of here, my dear brothers and sisters. 713-526-5738. Let me go to line one. Johnny, come on in, my dear brother.
What's up, Berto?
I am fine. Talk to me, sir.
Well, you know, you posed a great question, and I first want to say, you know, I do actually really like Bernie Sanders. I like the fact that he has a history, a commitment to social justice that has been there pretty much his entire time. I recognize that you have to give him at least credit for being consistent in his belief system, unlike you know, Senator Warren, who was actually a Republican until 95.
Yes.
And then she switched over and became a Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, the question that I really have for you, you said progressive, meaning, in my mind, transformational politics.
Yes, sir.
Which one of these candidates has an idea that can transform America into something spectacular, making America better than it's been previously? So to answer that question, I have to say Cory Booker. And
why would you say Cory Booker?
Cory Booker is because Cory Booker has actually embraced a reparation into 2019 version. The best version of America would mean replacing the current system, replacing the plutocracy, replacing the system of white supremacy with a system of justice. And in that sense, justice transforms the economy. You get black people as a caste system, and you transform America into what the founding fathers originally dreamed of, which is a country based on meritocracy. And that meritocracy will be good for America and transform the whole country. Now, can Cory Booker pull it off? I don't know. But at least he's willing to sit down and talk about it.
Let me say something about in reparation, even though this is not a reparation show. But, you know, you guys own my show. Every single one of you guys out there own my show. I want to twist it a little bit, and it goes as follows. Reparations is very important to what you and a few other of my folks have told me for people who are ADOS. And here is an interesting thing. Because of the way it is being handled by those who believe in ADOS, I think it is sort of creating a less than optimal creation of allies for it to occur. I don't want to go into that specifically in this program because it will take a lot of time between you and me, and we should probably tackle this on our Politics Done Right daily.
You're right. It's a Frankenstein monster.
Right.
So it's a point. Mm-hmm. Victor Hugo said, "There's nothing more powerful than an idea whose time has come." And I think the time to discuss how you're going to transform America into a meritocracy instead of one that is an apartheid system.
Right. Let me say.
And when you look at the wealth inequality and you talk about transforming America and a progressive agenda, I feel like this is something that the time has come. I mean, and maybe it doesn't happen right here. And I'm not talking about, again, I don't want to get off subject here, but again, Cory Booker is the only one so far that has said, yeah,
Johnny, I honestly want to continue exploring that with you. Let's do this on Politics.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm sorry.
No, let me, very important. I think we have to go a little bit further. I just want to kind of correct one thing because I am, I love America. I love America so much that I became an American. I came from another country and I became an American. I'm one of those who can say I'm coming to all of the callers next that say that, those people that are immigrants can come over here and say, we chose this. We think this is really the country that can be the best, right?
Yes.
But it always irks me when we give too much credit to the founding fathers. Okay, it irks me. And let me tell you what I mean by that. And on my way in, I was listening to a bit of my buddy here who plays, Afro-Latino jazz. But also I flipped to NPR and I heard Jefferson and talked about how Jefferson had constantly had kids with Sally Hemings, right? And all the history books have Jefferson as this magnanimous person. And there's just something, a light kind of hit my head, and I don't want to disparage Jefferson in comparison to Donald Trump at all, right? But Donald Trump is taking a lot of hits for rape right now, right? My question to you is this. Can a slave give consent?
Well, that's a great question because the answer is no.
Okay, I rest my case. So let's very much, sir, my friend. We all have faults, and including the founding fathers had faults. I think we've established already that you are a black person. So we have a constitution.
Depends on who you ask.
Right, that's okay.
Believe you me.
I understand. But we have a constitution that said at one time you were 3/5 of a person.
Yes.
These good men made you 3/5 of a person. These good men also gave the right to vote to only 5% of the population.
True.
These good men did a whole lot of these things. Let me tell you what America is, in my opinion, as a person who loves America and who came to America. America is full of good people, good everyday American citizens who are out there trying to make America what it can be. Not what it was founded as, but what it can be. And I love Americans for that. Credit to a whole bunch of men, in my opinion, who were making sure that their supremacy stayed supreme.
Amen. And with that, I'm out. Thank you, Berto.
Thank you so kind of my brother. Have a great day. All right, let's go to line 2. Scott, come on in, Scott.
Thank you. Well, I bought Kamala Harris's book, and I like what I see. On page 66, she says it's time to dismantle the war on drugs, and I certainly like that. I think she is courageous in saying that. I don't think that I did that I just made progress in this country, but I still don't think it's a safe idea for. I don't think that is all the money that I've invested in any presidential primary so far. I probably will not make any more donations until there is a nominee. And I could change my mind. I'm going to be looking at the possibilities in Texas. Like in 2008, I could have voted for Mike Gravel because he came out for marriage equality, which was important to me. But I didn't think he could get any delegates from Texas. I voted instead for Barack Obama. So I may be voting for somebody else in Texas, especially if there is a close contest. Going to be looking at what kind of delegates I can get from Texas, not the nationwide race.
You know what? Let me tell you something, Scott. It's admirable. I listen to you. You call into this show quite often. And you're an admirable fellow, my dear
Thank
brother.
you.
And the reason I say that is I love the methodical way in which you are handling this election and in the way you've handled subsequent elections. Thank you. And I think just the prose that you just gave is very informative to a lot of Americans. Right now, there are politicians, 24, 25 of them, sending out $2 and $3 requests that we know mostly are going to consultants and otherwise. You took a stand and you said, you know what, you're going to be diligent with the monies that you spend. Let me just say with the candidates, please be diligent. And this is an uncalled for statement and meritorious, but I'm going to say it anyway. Please remember that we, people like KPFT and other independent rags, are there to help inform with your knowledge by putting you on air as well. So please, folks that are out there, remember to keep stations like stations like KPFT on air by going to kpft.org. I had to put that in there because your statement was so informative. I think it gave me a good segue. Thank you so kindly, Scott.
I do donate to KPFT.
I know that,
and
sir.
I name your program among others.
Thank you so kindly, Scott.
Sure.
And you have a wonderful day, my friend.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Okay, let's go to line.
Hi. I'm kind of like what you were saying in the very beginning.
Yes, sir.
I should say when you spoke with the gentleman and gave some information. I'm with Bernie for right now because Bernie, he talks about things that come from the bottom up, as in people keep forgetting that it's actually the public that will make the change. It's not the lawmakers.
Thank you, sir.
The lawmakers can change once they get in office, but it is the public who keeps them accountable. So we want to vote someone in and then go do whatever we want and expect them to do what is right. And that is not how it actually works. Only thing I think that Bernie is missing is that he needs to speak in letting people know that there is room for all of us and what has actually happened. No, but they have to speak to people in a way of helping them to understand that they are continuing to be the power. Once we have the opportunity to do that, then we can explain and we can also keep the things that we want, as in, and when I say that, I'm talking about each culture. It won't be a bad thing for me to speak up and say that the black people are right, Indian people are right, Hispanic people are right. People will look at it in a way, in my opinion, that they will look at it and do at least more understanding and be more open to take the time to understand, okay, what are you...
Well, and you are insightful, very insightful. And let me tell you why I'm saying that. Because you realize that it's not about telling people that they need to do this. It's not about telling people that telling white people that reparations is right because of what went wrong or what was done to black people. It's for them to understand that it's their responsibility to do it. There's a difference. There is a difference. And I think you are insightful in understanding that, and I think Johnny gets that quite well as well. And in some of the programming that I'm doing as well, that is my hope. In other words, things are much more effective when people see that it is the right thing to do than they having to be told it is what needs to be.
Like I said, when you look at Germany is still trying to get it right.
Exactly. So let's. Hey, look here. You came on Politics Done Right and said that. I hope you're telling that to all the people that you're encountering as well, because that is how we get the message out. It's not one person on one station or two people on several stations. It is, you said it in the beginning, it is everybody doing it from the grassroots. So I hope you're doing your part, my brother.
All right.
You take care.
I'll continue to listen.
Thank you, sir. You have a wonderful day now.
But thank you for your radio station.
Thank you.
Not the station I actually serve, but for your what would you call it?
My program. Thank you.
Yes.
I really appreciate you, sir. You have a wonderful day. Okay.
Do the same.
Bye. Senor Brad, come on in, my brother.
You know who William F. Buckley Jr. was,
yes,
right?
sir. Of course. I mean, that is a real conservative.
All right, but he said this, why he was so intelligent. He said, you don't vote for the most conservative candidate. You vote for the most conservative candidate that can get elected.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you on the left need to do. Don't vote for the most left-wing candidate. Vote for the one that can get elected.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot right now that the one that's ahead is Joe Biden.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and my question is this. What do you think of Joe Biden in his position of opposing busing? Do you think that's a bad thing?
No, let me tell you something about busing, right? I am sorry that when Kamala Harris made her case, that the case was made from a busing perspective. And let me tell you, to try to get schools to look more like America so that we don't have disparate schools, etc., it's sort of a policy that opposed not only by white people but black people and other people, because most people don't want their kids bused. That is the reality of busing. Okay, so what concerns me about the position of busing is that can be used to disassociate people that would normally be associated with the same types of policies, which is not something Kamala Harris wanted to do in the first place. But I want to handle your question specifically on Joe Biden and the polls that are occurring today. Joe Biden's polls are propped up by an establishment that is propping his elected, that somehow he believes that Joe Biden is the most difficult person for him to beat. Both of them are false. Biden is one of the easiest of the candidates to beat on several fronts. And I have explained this before on my daily show. I want to say it real quickly on this show. And this is what they'll do with Biden. Republicans are very good on creating false equivalencies, but Biden gives them all the opportunity to do so. Trump is a grabber of women's parts. El Senor Biden is a holder of women's bodies. Okay? They'll make those two equal. Trump is a master liar. Biden is a plagiarizer. They will make those even. To another, that I can show how they will make it sort of congruent to Trump. And once you equalize those two issues, you start looking at other things to fight over, because you've taken away Trump's biggest liability with independent type voters, or voters that claim they're independent. So while everybody is saying, oh, look, he's 10 points ahead of the closest Democrats, and he's 10 points ahead of Trump, that is because nobody is interested right now in challenging what Trump and his team will do to Biden. Not to speak about, and I don't want to be very ageist right now, but Biden just doesn't look 100% when he's out there talking. I am sorry. Elizabeth Warren, and I did an interview with Elizabeth Warren on Friday. This woman is vibrant. This woman is not only a policy machine, but if she gets a chance to speak in front of people where she can explain the policies, it is convincing. So there's a whole lot that has to get out there that isn't out there yet, that I think will give progressives a good chance to kind of make that decision. Castro or Bernie or Elizabeth or whatever. We have such a abundance of talent on this side running that is going to be hard. But go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, but my woman I work with, she's a big Democrat, and just wait till your father gets home. You're gonna get it.
Yeah.
Okay, and people don't like to be talked down like that. Okay?
You know, what is interesting is this, okay? I mean, people are going to say things like that. They don't like to be talked down to like by their daddy either, but they elected Donald Trump. They don't like, there's a lot of things that people say they don't like until they realize this is what's best for them. I always tell people my Obama story. When I knew Obama was going to win the election, and it was when they went to Pennsylvania. And, they went ahead and they started asking people who they were going to vote for. So the canvassers went to this home of a white couple. And they said, who are you going to vote for? And the wife, I don't know why she thought she had to ask her husband, but she shouted back to her husband, honey, who are we voting for? Okay? Whoa. Yeah. We're voting for the N-word. And when I heard that, a lot of people hear that, they get upset. When I heard that, I got encouraged, because you had somebody that for once his personal economy superseded his racism. That's all I want in elections, for people's personal economies to supersede their prejudices. Okay?
Okay.
Anything else you want, my friend?
Yeah. And the one more thing. Come on, you're influential in the Democratic Party, and you love the sound of your voice.
No, I am not influential. I just try to talk to people.
Get out there and don't talk about reparations, please.
Well, let me tell you something.
It's emotional. I'm telling you, it is.
A caller called Kenneth.
I heard him.
Kenneth is a very smart man. Both Johnny and Kenneth are very smart. And I think I put Kenneth and Johnny in the same room, they could actually take care of that. But I hear what you're saying. And, you can't argue that people are wrong for thinking reparations is a problem. And you are articulating how a lot of people feel. We have to find a way to get around that. But thank you very much.
Who's the House Majority whip? Clamor, right?
Right.
I saw him on firing line. And he said, I agree with him, he agrees with me. Well, one, he is just like Joe Biden. He supported busing back in the day. I'm sorry, he was opposed to busing just like Biden.
Got to let you go because we're going around. Yeah. But Brad, we talk another time, man. You have a great day, my brother.
Take care, man. Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, I don't have a hello, and we'll see just shout out your name, and I'll see who I'm talking to. Everybody shout out their name.
Anand.
Okay, come on in, Anand.
Hey, how are you doing, Egberto?
Is this Anand Bhatt?
Yes.
Hey, Anand, how you doing, my brother?
I'm good.
Talk to me.
Okay. Have you ever heard or read the book A Very British Coup?
No, but I'm sure you're going to tell me about it.
Okay. Well, I think it's very important for this era with people interested in Bernie Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's written by a Labour member of Parliament in the 1980s, imagining if Tony Benn won the nomination for his party in the 1980 election in Britain, and then shows how the deep state would sort of conspire against that, including members of the right wing of his own party. So my question to you would be, if Bernie wins the nomination, would his party try to stop him from even winning. Aren't
Yes.
they happy exactly where they are?
Yes.
Wouldn't Nancy Pelosi be happier being Speaker of the House, where she's in office but not in power, and therefore not responsible to really pass anything or do anything? I think they'd be very comfortable being in office but not actually responsible.
You know what is so interesting what you're saying, and I think I've been writing about something similar like that in some of the prose that I said, in which I said, how can these people really honestly believe that Biden is electable? Have Trump get re-elected? Some people, I'm not saying all, I'm not saying there's a lot of rank and file Democrats that aren't like that. But you and I know politics very well. And for you to look at Biden and think he's electable. Now, when it comes to Bernie Sanders, there are two things, right? I think if Bernie Sanders were electable, that part, I don't know the book that you're talking about, but where you spoke about, would the deep state be very interested in stopping what he's doing, including parts of the Democratic establishment? Of course they would. That's why one of the things that I'm saying is it's not about electing a progressive, it's about electing a progressive wave. Go ahead, Anand.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm just concerned that even if he takes the nomination, they could, not give him data, not give him voter lists.
You're right. I think that's exactly what would happen, Anand. That is exactly what would happen.
You'd have to wait before you try again.
I think that is exactly what we're talking about. I also think again that these guys know exactly who's winnable. I mean, who can I think they also know that Biden doesn't stand a chance, but they are willing to throw him right up there. And if he happens to win, hey, no problem, because he is establishment, right?
Right.
So, that is like, we don't necessarily want Biden to win, but if he wins, hey, no problem, because you know what? He'll just be a little bit left of Trump, but hey, it's okay.
Yeah, I think so. And then one other question is it time for Beto to drop out and run for Senate?
I've been begging for that for a long time. Beto did not belong in the presidential race. I think Beto campaign, cost him the election from beating Cruz, and I think again for running for president. And I think he should just kind of cut his losses and says, I need to do something special for my state and run. But as it is, I think there are some other options getting ready to occur. So we'll see what happens.
All right, that's it.
Thank you so kindly for calling in, Anna, and you have a great day, okay?
All right, bye.
Bye-bye. All right, folks, we have open line 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Light them up. Let me hear what you think about the election, what you think's happening right now. After David, there's one more, and you're on. So call now. Remember, when this stuff is over, I'm out of here. Come on in, David.
We're talking about with Biden.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's absolutely true. There
yes, he is.
Two key words that they always use, which is electability,
mm-hmm.
and you have to elect somebody who gets things done.
Right.
I think those are key phrases that they use, and it's mostly the corporate media. I think the problem is that the corporate media already has its, I was going to say thumb on the scale, but they have their boot on the scale, trying to sway people away from Bernie. Bernie is probably the only candidate who they wouldn't be able to control. I like Elizabeth Warren, but the fact that she actually embraces capitalism instead of trying to actually change the system a little bit.
Can I interrupt you a second, sir, with Elizabeth? I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
If let's say America is scared of the word socialism, right?
Yes.
So we have somebody that calls what they're doing respectable capitalism or something like that. But in effect, they're effecting the same types of policies. Sort of saying, okay, since people are scared of that word, I'm going to, create my own word. But in effect, for what the people want, try to effect policies that's pretty much what democratic socialism is.
That's a problem that Bernie's camp has to address.
Mm-hmm.
The actual word socialism is not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's
it
just
isn't.
that the corporate, if you let me finish, the corporate media has co-opted the word.
Right.
And that not so much using the word, but defining what the outcomes of the implementation of his policies would achieve. And that goes to what was it, John, who spoke about Cory Booker, who receives more corporate money than anybody.
Right.
But I digress. That goes to the reparations question. I'm not for or against reparations, but I believe that if policies are implemented that could uplift black people from the ground up through school grants, things that they used to have before,
yes, sir,
where they would get doing away with redlining, all of those things that hold black people back. I think that that in a way is a form of reparations. And
are you did you say just doing away with those things is a form of reparation?
No, I said implementing those things.
Oh, okay.
Is a form of reparation.
Okay.
It would be a form of reparation because actually redlining, in real estate, when they used to have Pell Grants, and stop the charterization of the school system, and I think fund public schools. I think that would also help black people in that regard. But another thing that really needs to be addressed is the foreign policy. Taking over of regime changing in other countries is just not working. We're spending way too much money propping up the military, and unfortunately the contractors are
making a killing.
The contractors are making a killing. Yes, yeah. Absolutely. And as far as if anyone out there thinks that having a war with Iran, right, is just going to be a hop, step, and a jump, and we come back home victorious, you have another thing coming.
Well, I mean, if you take a look at Trump, even Trump backing down, you know that somebody got into his hair and said, "Hey, Iran isn't Iraq." So, yeah, I think they.
Well, yeah, but look at the response though. The Democrats, you would think that they would. Sure, they hate Trump.
I know exactly where you're going. I know exactly. You're saying that they actually kind of made it look like Trump was weak for not pursuing.
Exactly. They want war because when they have war, they get more face time. They make more money,
brother. And that's what we're talking about. When we talk about an establishment, right? What we're talking about is a whole bunch of people whose interests are paid for by the same people, whether they're Democrats or Republicans. That's why we talk about, in fact, with Anan, who just called, we talked about what we need into the system is a progressive wave, because the establishment, it doesn't matter if it's right or left, if they're serving the same master. It's that simple.
Look at what's going on the border. The thing with AOC and Pelosi,
right?
Those companies down there, they get $750
per person per day,
per person for child.
Yes,
right, and almost $1,500 for adults for holding those people down there, and the conditions that those people are in. They're spending not even a fraction of that.
David, you're right. Once you start,
they need to have an accounting of the money that they're giving to these contractors before they decide to appropriate all this money to them.
Well, David, that is what that is why they wanted to shut it down real quickly and get it into law, because when people start doing that, that is exactly what they will realize, that it's a theft on the American treasury or the American people. Going to a few, and many of those people who own those funding both sides. I gotta let you go to another call, David. But thank you so kindly for the words that you brought. Okay.
All right.
Have a wonderful day. Bye bye. Okay, folks, we still have some open lines. 713-526-5738. 713-526-5738. Tag, come on in.
Hey, Berto, how you doing?
I'm doing fine, my friend.
I just thought I'd call from Michigan and move back up here, and enjoying the show today.
Well, thank you, sir. You're back in Michigan. How are you? What part of Michigan are you in?
Right in the middle of the Lower Peninsula. So
oh, wow. So you're in the peninsula itself.
The Lower Peninsula,
Yes. Talk to me, my friend.
You asked about progressives, and, I don't think that definitely a progressive, I believe in the progressive. I'm claim to be a progressive myself, but I don't think the progressive movement's polished enough to really, take control of this country yet.
Let me say one thing to that, right? I think when you listen to and I hate really sounding very much leaning Elizabeth Warren right now, but I'm having to, based on the way. Let me tell you what I saw Elizabeth Warren do in Houston. This is one stop. And I don't. You see how much money she raised, sort of in a Bernie-esque kind of a way. But I saw an operation in Houston, and I was inside around and looking at how things were being. That really is the kind of grassroots things I had seen somewhat with Obama in 2008. I saw it with Bernie Sanders in 2015 and 16. I'm seeing it really grow with even new technology with Elizabeth Warren. And then the interesting thing about it is the message that comes with it. The caller, 2 callers ago said, "Oh, but she sounds motherly." I think right now people just many people may just be looking for a mother.
I was going to say, I like Elizabeth Warren as much as anybody because she's out there looking for the answers, and trying to come up with some solutions. But here's the thing I wanted. Of all these people running for Democratic president, and what we need to be doing, whoever wins the nomination, they need to be carrying all these voices with them to the election because we need to have an interjection of all these ideas into the national conversation here. Not just reparations over here, or somebody wants to do busing over here. I mean, we need the whole package going along with the one person who's going to carry this forward. And I don't know who it will be, but I think, I've heard you talk about Biden all day, and it just seems to me like he's the most electable person right now. So.
I know, that's what it seems like, and I think that is the intent is for it to seem that way. And what I'm trying to get people to do is kind of corporatize. The corporatized media creates a narrative, and we all adapt to that narrative. And then we have, I always try to remind people what they did to Al Gore back in, I think it was 2000, when they made Al Gore so scared to utter the word Clinton, which Clinton was very powerful, but they made it so that they thought Clinton was a pejorative. I mean, America could chew gum, or America had 2 views. They could think twice. They could not like the man, but like the policies. And if they thought you were going to continue those policies, they would be with you. And he fell for it. And I think we are doing the same thing with Biden. I wrote a blog where I said Biden simply cannot win. And Biden beating Trump. When they're done doing the op on Biden, I think he's going to be such a damaged person. And you know what else that people don't realize? People don't realize that right now the black vote is propping up Biden, right? And Trump will be very effective in using Biden's own words, Biden's own everything to a particular group of these folks that are going to then leave him in droves. Mark my word.
When you talk about the corporate, making Biden look good right now, whoever wins the next round of presidency here is going to need that corporate support. somebody who is running for the Democratic presidency does not have that corporate support, then we don't have a chance of winning.
And
so,
let me, if I may, somewhat disagree with you there, right?
Okay, go ahead.
I want to, first of all, it's one man, one vote, one person, one vote, one woman,
Correct.
one vote. I want to make it that we make them spend all that money and show that it's not all about money. And I think it can be done. It just hadn't been done yet because I think candidates have pretty much been lazy and they haven't been building their coalitions. But I tell you something, geometric progression can work. And my goal, my hope, is that some candidate starts to realize what? I think, I don't know that corporations didn't necessarily want Donald Trump. But a flawed candidate as Donald Trump was, he was able to use some of those techniques effectively. In fact, he had a Facebook person on his team. So I am hoping that that statement that you made about having to need the corporate support doesn't pan out. But anyhow, anything else you need to say real quickly, my brother Tag?
And that's just the picture you get from the media, and how they're going to do that. So that's why I say I just think Biden's going to be the guy. But not only that, but whoever is the guy, everybody's going to have to rally around him and get him.
Whoever,
people didn't rally around Clinton.
Whoever is the Democratic nominee, I'm taking my host hat off right now. Whoever is the Democratic nominee, they'll have my full support. That's why I am working as hard as I can personally, and I hope others are as well, to get the person that's going to do the best for the American citizenry elected. Thank you so kindly, Tag.
Thank you. Take care, Alberto.
You have a wonderful day, my friend. Bye-bye.
Yep, bye.
Okay, let's go to John. Come on in, John.
Hello, Alberto, mi pana. How are you doing?
Habla conmigo, hermano. ¿Qué me cuentas?
Very good, very good. I'm this week in Miami, but I don't want to lose your show, so I'm here in my telephone, hearing the show.
Well, thank you, sir.
Time will be Senator Elizabeth Warren.
Wow.
Because she's smart. She has been for many years preparing her policy. She knows the real problems of this country, and she's not socialist.
Mm-hmm.
She came from the Republican Party years ago, and then studying, learning, Harvard, researching. She knows the real problems of the middle class and good ideas on how to solve it. And I'm about your previous caller. I also think that as the progressive are pulling too much to the left, that's something that is not natural for the U.S., for the U.S. citizens. And then trying. So I think that Elizabeth Warren is a moderate. She's an outsider. Donald Trump won maybe because he was an outsider. People thought that he was an entrepreneur. As an entrepreneur, he could have the skills. And Elizabeth, she's a senator. Of course, she is into the politics for many years,
mm-hmm.
but she's not like the status quo. She's somebody trying to break the status quo. So that's why I think she's an outsider. She's not a socialist. You know my opinion.
I do know your opinion. Yo sé, entiendo bien, and I'm not going to go into a discussion on that because I have one other caller before I close the show out.
I know. But thanks. I think that label is not good. She doesn't use it. At least I haven't heard of her.
No, she doesn't. John, thank you so kindly for calling in, hermano.
Thank you very much.
Tenga buen día. Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, that line dropped. Oh, it wasn't a call? Oh, okay. Well, it looks like we have wide open lines. If somebody calls right now, you'll get on immediately. Otherwise, you'll hear the Egberto monologue. And I have a story to tell till that phone call rings. Oh, Derek, phone call rings. I just said it and it rang. Well, let me tell you, I went to a gun shop yesterday. All right, Egberto was at it's a pawn and gun shop, because I needed to get a hard case to move some stuff that I'm taking to Philly, promotional material and long pipes that couldn't fit in my luggage. I tell you something, guys. It hung up. Folks, you can still call in the gun shop, and at the same time that I'm there, I asked them if they had this long hardcover case that I can use, and guess what? They did. So I said, okay, I'll buy it. At the same time, my wife called, and I said, can you believe the company that's going to save me with an inexpensive hard case that I need to take to Philly with me is at a gun shop? Can you believe I'm in a gun shop? This guy who doesn't like guns is in a gun shop. And the manager heard me say that I don't like guns. And he said, why don't you like guns? And I told him, this whole works. And he started to talk about, talk about things like taking guns away. And I gave him the liberal position, letting him know that we had no desire in taking their guns away. Other liberal spills, if you will. And interestingly, we had such a solid conversation. By the time it was all over, I tell you something. A lot of these people that you think are sort of crazies or whatever, it is not hard to realize that there's more in common for real. And this is a real liberal saying this. Mark, come on in.
Yes, hi.
Real quick, yeah. Mark.
Okay. Are you Roberto?
Yes, I'm Egberto.
Oh, okay, great. Basically, I wanted to talk about the no logic in America now, that it's just hard to figure these elections out.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing makes sense, but I truly think Trump is a pedophile, and so is his. But when the Lewinsky thing happened, nobody cared. So all of a sudden, they stand by somebody that's a predator and pays women off.
Okay, I got you. I got you in there, my friend. I got your statement in there. I got one more call to take. Thank you so kindly for calling, brother. Okay, last call. Matthew, come on in real quick. You have about 30 seconds.
Mr. Egberto, I need some advice. If
yes.
I vote for the person that I really think should get the presidency, I fear he won't win, and I'll help the other side.
Okay.
What should I do?
Say that again. You want to know who to vote for?
Yes. I know who I want to vote for.
Who do you want to vote for real quick?
Bernie. But I don't think Bernie has a chance to win,
mm-hmm.
so I'll be defeating the purpose. If he doesn't win and Mr. Trump gets in, I'm really going to be unhappy. What should I do?
What you should do is actually vote for the person, the progressive that can win at the other person. Okay? I got to leave right now. My name is Egberto Willis, this is Politics Done Right, and I am out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
1, 2, 3, 4.